welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. This is the instant match reaction for Brighton 0, Everton 2. So get in there. It's rare, to be honest, that you sat there sort of feeling really comfortable the last 10, 15, 20 minutes, knowing that Everton win is going to come through. But today, it was sort of the perfect away performance. Perfect performance, really. I think Benitez got it spot on. I think we knew what Brighton were going to do, try and dominate possession, and we sort of seemed to set up exactly just to counter that, be effective on the counter attack, and it all just came together really, and it felt really comfortable in the end. So credit to the players for that one. I think this was never set up to be an easy game. You know, looking at Twitter and scrolling forums and things like that, I saw a lot of people saying they were happy to take a point, which is how I felt before the Leeds game, until the game was played, and then you feel like it's actually 2 points dropped. So today, I don't think we sort of allowed those mistakes that happened against Leeds to creep in, especially individual errors. Michael Keane being a big talking point before the game. As the team news was released, it was him and Mason Holgate again in at the back, and there was two goalkeepers on the bench who were getting flashbacks from last season, and it seemed like we're progressing, but are these problems that came last season going to get us again? Especially the errors. So the one in midweek, Michael Keane losing his man from a corner, and Brighton are very good at set pieces. So we sort of knew what Brighton were going to offer, and set up against it perfectly, I felt. The first 10 minutes, Brighton did dominate possession, and I think they had 65% possession early on. And the only real time we threatened was when Demarai Gray, 12 minutes in, he got in behind, he pulled it back for Calvert-Lewin, but it was blocked out. Calvert-Lewin couldn't get on the end of it. So I thought Brighton sort of with the better side almost in the early stages, which I suppose is expected, them being at home. They've won the last two games, and I think if you're going to put an away performance like that, you have to keep it at 0-0 early on, and that's fine. No issues with that. Injuries were disrupting the game. I think Basuma went down, Gray went down, which was a little bit worrying because I suppose Iwobi would have come on as he did later on. He had a shoulder injury, and I think that just disrupted the flow. It took a while to get going, but towards the end of the first half, it started to create this end-to-end thing. Just for a moment, it seemed like the goals were going to come. Everton had a period about half an hour in when we started to dominate. It felt, well, turned the screw a little bit. Richarlison did a good little cut back into Coleman. He cut it back. Calvert-Lewin just again couldn't get on the end of it. Then Richarlison had an effort, left-footed over the crossbar, and we just looked like, hang on, maybe we are going to score here. But it felt like our tactics were similar to as we have been doing, getting it wide and crossing it in. But our delivery is notably Dean from set pieces. Also Townsend as well. They weren't quite on it in the opening exchanges. I think Townsend was doing well to carry the ball sort of from halfway into the final third, but then it was sort of slow to release and it wasn't quite clicking. And you sort of felt this first goal was going to be crucial. And when we started to turn that screw, it was a case of, are we going to score when we get a chance here? And suddenly as the game opened up, we did exactly that. Alan, who was fantastic today, I'm going to be singing his praises on the player ratings video if you want to go and check that one out. He played a beautifully weighted ball through the middle. And Gray, he'd had a couple of little chances where he looked like he was going to get in and didn't, and he maybe made the wrong decision. But in this case, Alan played him in. He squared up Webster, I think it was. Lots of quick touches on his right foot, shifted it onto his left and buried it low under the keeper, very similar to his goal against Leeds. And that's something that he's going to be flying with confidence now. The way he's running it, it's like he just loves running at defenders. So it's great to see. So that goal really set us off flying then, and it looked like we could have got a quick second after then. Alan, not only was he good defensively, sort of getting his body in the right way, covering the ground, suddenly again he was involved. he got played in down the right-hand side and he'd made a run beyond the strikers. Lovely little back heel into Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin fired wide, but it really sort of showcased that this Everton side, not only are we set up solidly, but there seems to be quite a lot of fluidity in the way we're going forward. And Alan was really growing into the game. He seemed to be really enjoying it out there. So the half-time notes were, looking solid, fluid offensively. And the second half started. There was a bit of handbags involving Basuma and Richarlison, which was the start of a forgetful second half for Richarlison. He had one of them sort of frustrating second halves, which we'll get onto in a minute. Brighton had an effort off target, which was the theme of their whole game. They were passing it nicely up to the final third and then creating nothing and shooting from distance. Pickford was saving things comfortably, or they were just flying over the bar. So it didn't feel like they were threatening too much, which is one of the things we were discussing and which manager are we going to get. Potter was suggested. I was an advocate for getting him, but today was a performance from Brighton where you thought, it looks nice to a point, but it's not effective. And the centre-back pairings, Keane and Holgate, did their job pretty comfortably. So it was an improvement from them. And then the second goal, Allen, another brilliant ball from him. Coleman got in behind and blatant penalty. It's all going well. And what does Richarlison do? He turns gangster on us, doesn't he? Turns Kevin Morales on us and starts arguing, grabbing the ball. And credit to Everton's senior players in this situation. Andros Townsend, Coleman and Allen basically told him, you're not doing that. Calvert-Lewin's the main guy, scored last week from the pen and he's having it again. And he seems to be almost copying Harry Kane's technique from England duty, because he's fast run up and just burying it in that bottom corner. So that was great to see the Evertonians behind the goal going mad. Still with about 40 minutes left, where, like I say, normally you are worried that we'll bottle it or something like that, but it wasn't happening today. We were very comfortable. I think Trossard had an effort from range, saved. I think it was before the goal is when Brighton threatened the most. They had Trossard could have scored, Keane blocked it, and they won a free kick on the edge. And this was actually a really good save from Pickford after watching initially I thought, he's parried that into danger there. Decore had to do well to clear it. But on the replays, he made a really good save there. England's number one, Everton's number one. So then it was just a case of the game. The pattern of the game repeated itself. Brighton tried to come forward and we just got more and more space in behind for counter-attacks, and we could have had 3 or 4, to be honest. Mainly, Iwobi broke, fed Richarlison. He could have cut back onto his left, but he had an effort which was pretty poor into the side netting. And then Decore as well was played in. He did pull back, steadied himself for the shot, but the keeper made a great save. And even though Brighton were trying to push forward territorially, we were the only team who were going to score again there. So, fantastic performance all around. That there wasn't a player, apart from Richarlison, who sort of let himself down with his petulance in that case. I don't know if he thinks he's off to PSG if the rumours are there and he wanted a goal or whatever, but he had one of them frustrating afternoons. He was busy, but I mean, as a team performance, fantastic. Great start to the season, and dare I say it, it's looking good. It's looking like we could be in for a good season here, despite all the negativity going into it. But that's often the way in football, isn't it? So, fantastic performance from Everton, really made up. And go over and check the player ratings video as well, which I'm going to be doing now. And like and subscribe. And see you next time. Up the toffees.